John? You said you was up that way. He said it looks like, wow, I mean, like an overcast from all the smoke.
Wow. So, so this is a good year for firefighters and guys in fire camp.
Yeah, the guys in fire camp. Yeah, they're putting on their lives on the line for little or nothing.
Okay. All right, so we are live. This is not Memorex. All right, so calendars. So is everybody on their calendar? Okay.
So do we create new calendar, go and create new calendar?
No, just go to your calendar or go to the Google Apps instructions for today. And what does that say?
Yeah, you say go to your calendar or go to the Google thing, to your events, wherever all the time. So I think your best bet is to stay right there on Google Calendar.
Right here where I'm at.
It's right there.
Okay, now Phyllis, could you help me do one more thing, please? And that is to get that one going with the Hangout on Air. Well, how is the weather in California? Is it hot?
It's muggy. We're supposed to get, it's raining in certain areas, and we're supposed to get another heat wave this weekend, but the humidity is what's really bad. It's cooling off, but it's still humid.
Okay, I feel it's kind of humid here too. Anybody else feel the same way?
Was yesterday.
Yeah, so the humidity is just making it miserable.
I am looking, oh, here we go. So, let's see, it's 85 degrees right now. 85 and sunny. But it's supposed to be some clouds. The high today is going to be 98. Okay, so calendar. What did we learn about calendar so far?
Set up your events.
Okay, this is for people who read the notes regarding today's class. Notes for today's class.
I glanced at it.
You glanced at it, okay. So here's the important thing for everyone. Break time.
No, I was glancing, it was break time.
Okay, so here's what's supposed to happen. At 9 in Nevada, at 9:30, when we're done with typing, at 9:30 you go to the Google Apps event, you go to your calendar, you see the event. You read the details of the event. You don't start by watching the video because the video is only to support the rest of it. The rest of it doesn't support the video. So you need to be very clear on what we're trying to do today. Now, this points out something very important of why we don't give handouts here. Theo, why do you think we don't give handouts?
Director, I can't answer that because I don't.
Okay, fair enough. Tom, why don't we give handouts to people?
People will just try to go ahead and do it and not follow the directions.
Okay, close.
You don't really read them.
Right.
Glance over.
See, when you get a handout, somebody gives you something, a photocopy of something, what does your brain tell you, Tom? Right. Yeah, because I can read it later, right? I have this, I don't need to read it now, I'll read it later. And that's why we don't have copier machines here, that's why we don't give copies, we want everybody to write things down. But, it used to be that I would take my notes and I would read them and write stuff on the board, and everybody would have to write it on the board because that's one way to remember. But then I felt, well, if at 9:30 people go to this, they read what it's about, then at 10 o'clock people will be somewhat prepared. but that doesn't work if nobody's reading the thing. Okay, so don't think in terms of, okay, good. So don't think in terms of the details are there, I don't need to read it. Think in terms of this is going to prepare me for class. Okay? And I get that unless you've been to college, the way that we grew up in school is like in the first grade, second grade. What are you guys doing?
I'm right here.
Okay, because you should just be paying attention to me right now. We're not using
paying
the
attention
computers.
to you.
No, I know that you are.
Yeah.
Phyllis is moving around. Anyway, so how is teaching done when you're in the first grade? How does it work, Tom? Huh? Yeah, it's kind of like how GED class works, right? George comes in, he does things on the board, he says this is how you do it, and then he says, okay, now I'm going to put a problem on the board and you guys fix it, right?
Right.
Okay, that's how, you might not remember, but that's how elementary school is taught. The teacher teaches, gives some examples, then puts some things on the board and says, okay, now you do it.
Right.
Or they give you a handout. And homework now is basically just to repeat what you did in school, because what happens in our brain, Gina?
So I remember?
Yeah, because our brains are designed to forget 70% of what we learn. So if the way it worked in school is the teacher does things on the board, and she says, okay, now you do things, and then the next day you started over again, you didn't go home and do homework, you would have forgotten 70% of what you did the day before. And you wouldn't make any progress. It's just by going home and having to do 20 math problems, finally you start getting, oh, this is how math is, and then you don't forget. You forget 70% of what you learned, but you did it 10 times, so you still remember what you learned in class, okay? And then you get up into high school, and then they start saying, read this for tomorrow. But in elementary school, middle school, it's your homework is here's what we did today in class. When you start getting up into high school, they start doing a read this, read these 20 pages, we're going to talk about it tomorrow. But the teacher then goes through it, and people are supposed to have read it. When you get into college, they'll give you a sheet of paper or a couple sheets that are your syllabus for the quarter or the semester, right? You've been to college, right? Say, here's what we're going to do. Here's all of your assignments for the whole semester. You're expected to do your work and be reading every day. I'm not going to tell you every day, here's what to read tonight. And you're expected to be prepared when you come to class. Somewhat prepared, but the teacher reviews it. Now, when you get into law school or graduate school, the purpose for class is for the instructor, the professor, to ask you questions to make sure you understood that you learned it. When you get into graduate school, the idea is you are now autodidactic. You can learn it. I just want to make sure what you think it is what it is, and that helping you do your work, because if you get called on, you don't want to be embarrassed. Okay, that's how graduate school is. You have to be prepared. So here, under our best practices, and when you get to work, you need to know the stuff before you do it. You can't expect you're going to go to a job and their thing is, we're going to teach you how to do everything. Their main thing is going to be, we're going to teach you how to do it our way, right? Tom, when you did your work, did you know anything about it before you started?
Back then, I don't think I did.
Okay. And when you started, were you helping someone?
Yeah.
Okay, and that person kind of showed you what to do?
Right.
So it was kind of like OJT?
Yeah.
Okay. And, but you had to have some level of knowledge in the beginning, right? They didn't say, this is how you learn to read. This is how a phone works. Yeah, okay. So it's important here to get good habits. Did anybody see the thing I posted about routine? I think I did it Friday or Saturday. Okay, routine. So there's something that was posted for everyone that talks about routine. we're kind of conditioned to believe routine is not good, right? That we should think about what we're going to do, not that we shouldn't think about it, right? For example, in the morning, we get up and we think about what do we want to wear today. Did you do that, Gina?
No, I try the night before to figure out.
Okay, so you plan the night before. How about you? What is your name?
Ellie.
Ellie. Okay. So do you think about it in the morning? Here's what I want to wear today. How come? What do you do?
Just these two, what I wear, and just put it on, and no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't worry about it.
So what did Einstein do? He had the same clothes. He just had 5 white shirts, 3 pair of black pants, certain number of socks, because he didn't want to waste time thinking about what do I want to wear tomorrow. Yeah, he just would wear the same
I
thing.
do the same thing right now.
Well, you don't really have much of a choice, right? Okay, now, other people, successful people, have, here's my Monday clothes, here's my Tuesday, here's my Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because they want to have a routine. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to get up and waste time thinking, what am I going to have for breakfast today? What shampoo do I use today? Which toothpaste do I use today? It should all be autopilot, just like when we're driving a car. How hard would it be to drive a car if it was so difficult you couldn't do anything other than drive the car? People wouldn't really want to drive the car. Be a lot less accidents because there would be very few cars on the road. You know, if you had to constantly be adjusting things because the car would go off the road or stop running or something like that. You know, if you had to keep pumping the, you know, keep air in the tires, if you had to keep pumping it while you're driving, it would, you know, so the point is routine is good. The routine for this class should be, here in Las Vegas should be, at 9:30, you go to your calendar, you click on it, you go to the event, you read the details, and then you watch the video.
That's what I do.
Okay? Actually, there's another step that's in there. So on Mondays, you should take your composition book. At 9:30, you take your composition book, you start on a new page, you write that in the table of contents what page it's on, and then you go to the event, and things in here that you see that are important, you write in your book. Then you watch the video. That's how it should be here. That should be the routine. And you don't waste time thinking about, what do I want to do now? Because what happens if you're thinking about, what do I want to wear today? Huh?
You miss what? Whenever we're
Well, in the morning. In the morning, you think of, what do I want to wear today? And you're standing in there, you start playing this thing in your head. Well, I could wear this, but I kind of don't like that shirt because, you know, there's this, and I wore that shirt yesterday. And you start getting in this whole big discussion, right, in your brain of the pros and cons of what to wear, or the pros and cons of breakfast. Well, so this thing about routine talks about when you're doing that, your brain isn't able to think about important stuff on a subconscious level. And what successful people do is they don't use their brain for unimportant stuff. Okay, so if you want to start a business or you want to become successful, one of the things they tell you to do is program your brain so you're always thinking about business. Well, I don't know how to do that, but if you're not thinking about other things, you're thinking about business. So for me, a lot of the time is spent thinking about Chow Tuti. And even when I'm not thinking about Chow Tuti, deep down in my brain, I'm still thinking about Chow Tuti. So when something comes up that relates to Chow Tuti, I think, Chow Tuti. Immediately, we all do that. And so if I said to the people in California, what was the big thing this weekend about Italy? What would you say?
I know she was the girl that beat Serena?
Yeah, that was on Friday, right?
Yeah.
So Saturday, the two people that were playing in the finals for the U.S. Open were both Italians. And they both were ranked really low. They both were there for upsets.
Yeah, the girl that beat Serena, she was like a 300-1 odd.
Yeah, the odds were 300-1 against her winning. I think she was ranked number 46 in the world.
Exactly.
And the other girl was ranked number like 23 or something like that, that Panetta, that actually won.
Yeah, she was
So
good. I watched that match.
this is the week we finished Chow Tutti for the October version. We have to pull stuff together, so we need you to do Rhode Island. But we've got to be thinking, what's the content that goes in Chow Tutti? So good habits are to have routine for everything that you can possibly do. Anything that you can turn into a routine should be a routine. What do I have for breakfast in the morning? Shower. What time do I get up? It's not really a good thing to wake up in the morning and say, do I want to get out of bed now? Because now you have a debate going on in your head of, should I get up or not get up? This article is, you should just have a routine. This is what time I get up. I don't think about it every morning. I don't have a debate. I don't do the pros and cons. I get up, I go do this, I go do that, I go do these other things, and I'm processing in my brain the important stuff. And if you look at successful people, that's mainly what they do. They don't waste time doing unimportant things. So the Google app for this week has to do with time. Why should we care about time? Tom?
Money.
Okay, one thing is time is money. Well, why else?
Very important.
Okay, why is it important?
Time, the schedule runs on. You have a schedule.
Okay.
You only have so much of it.
Right. Time is the one thing you can never get back. Time, you lose money, well, I can get it back. Make a bad business decision, oh, I can get it back. Time is the one thing you can never, ever get back. We don't really we don't really see it as that way, but people who are successful do. They get, I have a limited amount of time, or I have one chance to do this thing right. People who are not successful, who are not used to doing things right, say, you know what, if I don't get it right the first time, there's always another time. And you say to these people, well, why didn't you get it right the first time? Well, I didn't have enough time. So then the answer to those people is what? Would you think, Mike? Somebody who says, well, I didn't have enough time to do it right the first time.
You really didn't take it serious.
Okay, that would be one thing. But the answer is, so wait a second, let me get this right. You didn't have time to do it right the first time, but now you have to do it again? It would have taken less time to do it right the first time than to do it twice, right? So that's a thing to think of. If you are somebody who is a tailor that makes clothing, they have an expression, measure twice, cut once. Why is that? What does that mean to you, Theo? Measure twice, cut once.
Make sure you measure it right and cut it one time.
Because what?
Because you're eliminating time. I mean.
Well, what happens if you measure it once and you make a mistake?
You got to do it again.
Could be big problems.
Yeah.
One of the guys from the club has a construction company. I spoke to him on the phone a couple weeks ago. I said, how's everything going? He said, I got big problems. He said, we just poured a slab for a house up in Charleston, and the slab is 18 inches too small for the design of the house. Now what?
Now you waste money.
Huh?
You got to do it again.
You don't waste money also too. You waste some money.
More.
You say 18.
You don't waste some money too.
The house is too big for the slab.
Yeah.
Well, now what do you do?
Got to make it bigger.
Everything got to change.
Well, you just can't necessarily just say, okay, I'm going to add 18 inches on.
You got to go measure again, do all the measurement again. You got to redo it again, redo the whole process again.
So it's a big problem.
Yeah, you got to put the chalk line down.
So you got to do the whole process over.
Well, The problem was sort of that it's hanging over the side of the mountain. So if it's 18 inches too short, how do you just add 18 inches onto the side that's hanging over nothing? Not good. That's because somebody didn't take the appropriate time to check the plans. Now, the architect is the one apparently that made the mistake, but the architect is saying, well, why didn't you check it?
So he rolled down hills, huh?
Yeah. So time is the most important asset that we have. We have really one chance to do things right the first time. And successful people are the people who consistently use their time the best. They make the best decisions of their time. If they say, I can do this or I can do that, they're the ones who consistently choose the better choice. Anybody know what that's called? Anybody have college economics?
Well, I was going to say something else, but it could have OCD.
No, what is it called when you have a choice of doing this or that?
Option.
Okay, well, it's having options. So in economics, it's called opportunity cost. So I can do this opportunity cost. I can use my money to buy an ice cream cone, or I can save it. And when I get enough, I can invest in a tool or something. So that's called the opportunity cost. Successful people use their time better than unsuccessful people. So, you know, unfortunately in school, they don't, in first grade, second grade, they don't really have classes in time management. You know, the expectation is your parents teach you how to do that. But what if your parents didn't have good time management? Okay. You grow up thinking that time management is not an issue to you. You don't even think about it, okay? Because normal is not having good time management. So what happens is a lot of people go to seminars when they become adults to learn how to manage their time. Well, so our calendar app is really about time management. The calendar is just the tool to help you manage your time. But the starting point is to become aware and accept the reality that time is one of the most important resources that we have, and we don't ever get it back. There will never be another today. Okay, so you have to make the most of what we have. And successful people consistently just keep moving forward. Even if it's just an inch at a time, they're moving forward. Not successful people move forward and then they move back. They make progress and then they backslide, right?
Plan ahead.
Huh?
Plan ahead.
Well, successful people plan their work. So it's called you plan your work and you work your plan. And you don't think every day of, well, is there a better plan? The Romans had a saying that they live by, which is a good plan today is better than a great plan tomorrow. They just got it done. They didn't say, let's think about it for another day. So, the starting point about time management is to get time is important. And then to resolve right now to tell your connectome, okay, I'm going to be better at managing my time. So that's one thing. And the second thing is routine. So is it a bad thing or a good thing to not know what you had for breakfast this morning? Ernie, good or bad? It's good? Okay, you say good. Good or bad to not know what you had for breakfast? Good to know. You said good to know.
Bad.
Wait, you said good to know, right? Okay, so the question is it good to know? Okay, so this is yes or no. Okay.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Why are you saying yes?
Well,
I think you don't have a clue.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be different. Is there a category for it doesn't matter?
Well, that would be no.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I say yes.
Okay. No. I miss anyone? Phyllis? Yes? Okay. Is it good to know what you had for breakfast, right? The answer is no.
Why?
Because you don't want to be thinking about it. It's better to say, I don't remember what I had for breakfast because I was thinking about something more important. You want it to be part of routine. Okay, we are conditioned to believe autopilot is bad. Is autopilot bad when you're driving a car, being on autopilot mentally?
Yeah.
No, it's not bad.
That's not bad.
It's good to be on autopilot. You don't want to have to be thinking, okay, I'm going to turn lanes. What do I do? Oh, I need to put on my blinker. Okay, blinker on. Oops, I got to look over my shoulder to see if there's any cars coming right. Should I speed up? Let me think about, should I speed up? Yes, I will speed up. Move my right foot over to gas pedal. Push down. How hard? That's enough. Take, oops, too much. Put foot on brake. Constantly look. You wouldn't be able to drive if you weren't on autopilot. Right? You can't drive if you have to think about everything you need to do to drive a car.
It'll be hard.
You can't do it. Okay? Now, actually, that's what people, when they start driving, that's what they're doing. They have to think about everything, but our brains very quickly, if you have gotten to the age like you're 16, your brain has the ability to learn things pretty quick. That's why they don't let 5-year-olds drive cars, because they can't coordinate all of the stuff you have to do to drive a car at the age of 5. You have to have a certain level of brain development. But when you're 16 and you start 15, you start driving a car, you're thinking about all of that stuff. Remember to look in the mirror, turn my head, put on my directional, put foot on gas. You have to do all that, but very quickly, like within a week. Kids that are driving cars start doing it automatically. It gets to be autopilot routine. Typing, right? Why can you type fast? Because you don't have to ask yourself, where is the S key, right? Where's the A key, right? You don't even think about where it is. But do you think that somewhere in your brain it's not figuring that out? How else would it work? Somewhere in your brain, it's on autopilot. In your brain, you trained your brain to be able to do this stuff. So autopilot is good. When people say, God, I'm getting old, I don't remember what I had for breakfast. That's the wrong thing. It should be, the good news is I don't remember what I had for breakfast because it's not really important. So this thing is try to get on autopilot as often as you can. The way you do that is by routine. It's by routine.
So why they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day?
Who's they?
I mean,
Who's they?
from what I've been hearing, breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Well, you need to get your metabolism up.
I guess it's cliche. So.
Well, okay, that's a little bit off topic, but the simple answer is you need to get your metabolism going. Okay, it's like stoking the fire. Okay, what happens if you put a lot of wood in the fire? Yeah, you have more, right? There's more energy being released. So if you start out the day and you're not eating, your body adjusts, your metabolism adjusts, because our bodies evolved to conserve calories. We use the fewest amount of calories possible. So if you don't have calories coming in, your body adjusts to not really want to burn calories. And then what does that mean?
Not at your full potential.
Yeah, you're not at your full potential. But having a bad breakfast isn't better than not having breakfast. You know, there's some breakfast that you just shouldn't have, okay, because you're going to be too tired. Okay, so one thing that's good for breakfast is having a little bit of fat, like bacon. And if you were a lumberjack and they give you starch, they give you a lot of bread, a couple eggs, but bacon, because it's just like you put bacon on a fire, it's going to burn a lot better and easier than a biscuit, right?
I forgot what bacon.
Yeah. We don't know.
Okay. All right, so we only have 5 minutes left, and I wanted to get further along, but we'll talk about the 8 apps. So here, and for our new people, there are 8 Google apps that we learned. Why do we care about Google apps?
Free.
Dwayne.
Free.
No, but why do we care about Google, not Google apps? Why do we care about learning the cloud? Okay, Gina, why do we care about learning the cloud?
Because if they all work well together. And
The
it makes
cloud.
it saves-
Not the, forget about the word Google. Why do we care about the cloud? About learning the cloud?
Because all of it's, well, like you said, it's free, and all of the applications work well together, and Google's always updating theirs. And it's
Okay, so that you're still on the Google part.
Oh, okay.
Why do we learn about the cloud? Because all businesses are moving to the cloud. That's the direction. We don't have a hope of getting stable, meaningful employment if all we're doing is learning to do the things that the people we're competing with for jobs have been doing for 10 years. Right? So, Dwayne, are you going to be able to get a job if you walk into an interview, you're competing with someone who says, yeah, I've been using Microsoft Office for 10 years. And you come in and say, I just learned, I just went to school, I just graduated. Who's going to have an advantage? The person who's been doing it for 10 years. Okay, not the person who says, I just learned this. Okay?
The most experienced.
If you say, I just 16 weeks ago, 4 months ago, I was typing at 8 words a minute, now I'm at 40, and you're with somebody, competing against somebody who's been typing 40 words a minute for 5 years, who do you think that interviewer is going to think is a better typer?
5 years.
The person who's been doing 40 words for a long time. Now, you might be able to say, well, I can assure you 5 years from now, I'm not going to be typing 40 words a minute. I'll be typing 80 words a minute 5 years from now. Now, that person's taken 5 years to get to 40. It took me 4 months. But in the person's brain initially, you have experience typing 40 words a minute. You're going to do that every day. Maybe you just hit 40 words your last day. Maybe you got lucky. Whatever. Okay? So we aren't able to have high placement rates because people learn to do the jobs that everybody else needs to know, even though you need to know those. You can't get a job if you can't type. You can't get a job if you don't know word processing and things like that. But you're not going to get a job if you're competing with people who know those things and you just learned them. You need to know something they don't know. That's what we need to do. We need to know things that they don't know. And what they don't know, we need to know things that they don't know that are important. And what is important for business is to get on the cloud. That's what's important for business. Today I read something about the new Uber has to do with medical care, health care. Uber for health care. What does that mean? What do you think that means? But what does that mean? What does Uber for healthcare mean?
That means they're going to be looking at people that maybe.
It's not about driving. It's not about driving you to the doctor. It's about you don't need to have a doctor. You go to the closest doctor because the doctors are all trained and they have access to all of your medical records. And if you think about it, a doctor is a doctor, pretty much, right? Not a specialist, but just a guy who's a doctor. You go in, you have a sprained ankle. Does it really matter who the doctor is? I mean, a sprained wrist? Does it really matter who the doctor is? No. But what is the system now? If you've got a sprained wrist, you need to go get medical treatment. You either go where? Emergency.
Take care of yourself.
Or, okay, or let's say you have insurance. You go to emergency or you go to your doctor. The future is you don't need to have a doctor. It'll be like Amazon. You go online and you find out who's got 5 stars, who can see you in the next 22 seconds. That's the future. That's on the cloud. That's not possible for doctors to do that if medical records are stored where? In the office in a file cabinet. Is the same thing going to happen with attorneys? Yeah, for a lot of stuff. Okay, you don't need to have an attorney. You need to have your records. And where are the records stored? On the cloud. Okay, the court will access them from there. But that is where the future is. So whoever knows how to use the cloud is king. Calendar is Google's cloud app. Google Calendar is a Google app for managing time. Now, the people who've been using Calendar in California, what are some of the benefits of Google's Calendar app? What are some of the benefits of Google's Calendar app?
You're able to multitask, share them.
What?
Multitask, share them, view, share them with other people, integrate into your daily system.
Okay, so let's go with those one at a time. So what was the first one? Multitask. What does that mean?
Okay. Doing one thing or another one at the same time.
Okay, we didn't quite hear that. What was that, Dennis?
It was saying the ability to prioritize specific calendars for different things like families.
Okay, so you can have multiple calendars. So in Google's calendar, you don't have one calendar. You have one calendar for each type of thing. So you have a personal calendar that they give you automatically with your Gmail. You have a family calendar. You could have work calendars. You could have many calendars, and you can see them all at the same time. So you're like looking through stacked up pieces of glass that have a calendar on them. So you can see all of your calendars, or you can see some of them or one of them. That's a huge thing. You can share calendars.
Right.
Okay, so you can collaborate. What's another thing?
Integrate them into your daily tasks.
Okay, so integrate into your daily tasks, but it also, Google's Calendar app works with all of their other apps seamlessly. And so like with Gmail, if somebody says, let's do this, instead of replying, okay, you click on create event, and that takes you to the calendar. So it puts it on the calendar, sends them a notice, they say yes or no, it's already on your calendar, so all you have to do every day is look at your calendar and see what you do, and it integrates with your smartphone. And you can have a thing on it for a map. So when I go do the interviews that I do for Chow Tutti, Keith has the location that's on there. So when I walk out of here, I go on the event, go to my calendar, it has a thing of the address, I click on that, it launches my map that has my driving directions, and boom, it's really easy. That's the future. So, so tomorrow we're going to create calendars, and then we'll go from there. Dennis, are there any questions in California?
Any questions, Papa? Anybody? We're good. We kind of created them today. Most of the students have, so we just have a few students that haven't. But
okay.
So
this is review. So this is review then.
For some, we have a few new students, but they're on it.
Good. Okay. Well, great. So let's take our break.
Okay. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Get that light. All right. Thanks for that. Thank you.